been struggling to articulate this for the last couple of weeks. So I'm thinking about these two tensions that I'm reading about in The New Culture of Learning by Doug Thomas and John Seely Brown. Private versus public, personal versus collective. So typically with students, when we talk about private versus public, we talk about the clash between private versus public. Dana Boyd summarizes it as, growing up, most adults today were private by default, public with effort, and kids today are public by default, private with effort, which introduces all kinds of sometimes uncomfortable things in the way that they use social media. But there's another private versus public tension, and that has to do with how we think of learning. So typically in a classroom, imagine this, there's kind of this unspoken agreement that what the student is doing is they've come into class and in the privacy of their own thought, they're trying to learn and understand what it is that the teacher's telling them, whereas the teacher is in the midst of a very public activity, teaching and trying to share ideas, abilities, capacities, habits of mind with the students. And then, has this ever happened to you? You call on a student in class who you know very likely knows the answer to the question that you're asking, or at least has some idea about it. And when you call their name, they freeze up and they don't want to talk, or they don't want to share their work, or they don't want to answer. It's almost in a way that we've broken a contract with them. That what I'm doing is public, but what you're doing is private learning, and my publicly teaching. And I've tried to flip that around on you, and in some way that's unfair. So in the way that the kids use the internet today, or the way all of us really use it, is there's a tension between personal and collective. So the personal is the stuff that I do by myself. Now, do I do my personal stuff just for me? For example, this video that I'm making right now, it really is just for me. I kind of just want to capture my own thinking, but I do it in a open, transparent, public way. And in that way, I kind of participate in a collective with a bunch of other reflective educational bloggers or anybody really who's interested in thinking along these lines, sharing similar videos, or just commenting or passing the video on to someone else. And in that way, when someone comments on my video, I don't feel like my privacy's been invaded. I don't freeze up. I actually look forward to the chance to engage. So here's the shift that I'm thinking. That private versus public tension in the classroom, where kids are privately trying to learn and teachers are publicly teaching, maybe we need to find ways to shift that around so that it's not public versus private, but I'm personally learning in a way that contributes to the collective learning of the group, of all of us. And then maybe when I call on kids, if that's the culture of the classroom that we're trying to create, maybe when I call on a kid to share what they're learning, they won't freeze up. Something to think about anyway.